In 2016, 58-year-old Fausto Hernandez from Texas was working in Middle Tennessee on a construction project while staying with his daughter in Murfreesboro.
This was just a temporary job. Matter of fact, the individual that he was working for, the company was actually out of Texas, and the individual had asked him, hey, can you come up here to Tennessee? And of course, Mr. Hernandez knew that he had a daughter up here already, so he was thinking, well, this will be a good time. I can good time for me to go up there and work and also be able to spend time with my daughter.
At night, Hernandez frequently stepped away for a bit to call his wife. Near his daughter's home, there was a family video, tobacco and beer store, as well as a Marco's Pizza on East Northfield Boulevard. Sergeant James Abbott, supervisor over crimes against persons for the Murfreesboro Police Department, said the night Hernandez died, he stopped at the tobacco and beer store, a spot where he was well liked.
Sometimes Mr. Hernandez would be inside the store, and while he was purchasing or making his purchase, whatever he might be in there buying, if there was a kid in there, a lot of times some of the kids from the neighborhood might come over and they might not have enough money for, they might be 10 or 15, 20 cents or $1 short on what they wanted to buy. Mr. Hernandez would cover it for them. So this was not some man that was, just a mean person or, would have enemies.
Despite his kindness, Hernandez was the target of a violent crime that ended his life on July 15th of 2016.
So Mr. Hernandez had ran to the store that night, and then he was sitting on the rock out there behind Marco's Pizza where he would normally sit and talk to his wife on the phone. And he was talking to his wife on the phone, and after hanging up with her, she stated that he almost immediately called her back, which was very unusual. So she answered the phone, and she could not hear anyone but what sounded like a deep voice African-American male. And she said it sounded like they were arguing, and she couldn't really tell anything else, who else was arguing. And at that time, the phone then went dead.
Police now believe that was a pocket dial, but they would never get the chance to ask Hernandez more about the suspect.
Mr. Hernandez was found laying beside the rock, shot one time. He was transported to Vanderbilt Hospital where he passed away during surgery.
Detectives have gone to great lengths to try to find the killer. They've looked at surrounding surveillance footage, and although no cameras were pointed directly at the rock, they have talked to every driver who came and went from Marco's Pizza. Detectives believe Hernandez's killer was on foot, and they have narrowed down the time when he was shot. Some kids saw Hernandez on their way into the store, and on their way out, they found him wounded.
Very tight window, yes. I mean, we are talking probably seconds that the person did it, and probably just a couple of minutes in between the last individuals to see Mr. Hernandez alive or the last time his wife talked to him before these young people found him.
Detectives also have a person of interest in the case who lived nearby.
That individual is currently incarcerated at Tennessee Department of Corrections, but we know that he was living in that area at the time and that he possessed a firearm, at least at some point, that was of similar caliber and make and model that the individual, Mr. Hernandez, was shot with.
Interviewing that individual has been difficult with recent COVID-19 restrictions, but the police department hopes to question him soon. In the meantime, Sergeant Abbott says there's one reason this murder is particularly troublesome in his mind.
The scary kind is that when we talk about these type of homicides is the random ones.
While Murfreesboro Police work to talk to the person of interest they've identified, they ask anyone who might have been in the area that night to give them a call. They say at this point, any and all tips would help them out. They can be reached at 615-893-2717. Nikki McGee, News 2.